Hello, y'all, and welcome back. So, utilitarianism is, or I define it as, the view that right and wrong are to be understood in terms of the maximization of pleasure, benefit, or utility. So construed, utilitarianism has some prominent strengths. Perhaps the single most prominent of these prominent strengths is the fact that it gives clear action guidance. In fact, some people in the literature say it gives a crisp decision procedure in the full kind of mathematical computer science sense of that term. The best example of this is no doubt the most famous ethical thought experiment, which I think is probably the most famous thought experiment of all time, which is the so-called trolley problem. You may well have heard of this. I see it in pop culture all the time, in memes and such. If you haven't, though, the place to be introduced to it is in a unit on utilitarianism in an ethics course. So here we go. The original version of the problem, the kind of unflavored traditional version, goes as follows. A train or trolley is barreling down a track at a high rate of speed. On this track, some incredibly evil person has tied 5 innocent people, and they're gonna be crushed and killed. The only bystander is you. You are this innocent bystander, and you are completely helpless. You can't stop the train, you can't slow it down. If you throw yourself in front of it, it's just going to kill 6 people, you plus them. There's nothing you can do, except you happen to be positioned next to a lever. And it just so happens that if you pull that lever, the train is going to be redirected onto an alternate track on which that same incredibly evil person has tied just one person. What do you do? Do you stand by and watch helpless as the train crushes 5 innocent people? In that case, no sane person would hold you in any way morally responsible. Or do you pull the lever, thus dramatically decreasing the number of people killed, but thus potentially, perhaps, somewhat morally implicating yourself in the death of that one person? The Trolley Problem most famous formulation is a 1967 paper by Philippa Foot, which the details are slightly different, but they don't matter. And there's been many, many versions of this presented over the years, but this is as I say, the original version. And despite its simplicity, an enormous amount has been written about the subtleties and complexities of this problem. It is a dilemma. But the point here is, at least initially, it is not a dilemma for the utilitarian. There is a clear and unambiguous right thing to do. You pull the lever. Why? Because math. Right? Because 1 is 4 less than 5, math. So you're preventing the death of 4 people effectively on this view. There is no ambiguity at all. Clear action guidance in what would otherwise be this impenetrable or very difficult moral dilemma. Many different applications of this. Supposing you're a physician in a rural community and a disease has broken out, swept the community, and you can only get the drug that cures the disease, the antidote, to one household in time, because of the distance, the great distance between households. And one household has just like 3 people in it, small family, and the other one has 16. There is no ambiguity. You get the drug to the household that has more people because you're going to save more lives. It's even, to kind of get a little controversial here, morally right to maximize benefit in this way on a utilitarian perspective in situations where it would be illegal. So supposing you're an overseeing physician in an emergency room and a patient is brought in who's been in a terrible car crash, and you know that you could perform a procedure on them, you and your staff, for 12 hours, which would save their life. But you also know that in that same hospital you have people needing heart, liver, kidney, and lung transplants, and so you could harvest those precious organs, save 4 lives, and that one person would die. Is it legal to do that, harvest those organs? Well, if you're a good utilitarian, you don't care about what's legal, you care about what's morally right. Now, I realize that my utilitarian friends watching this are going to have all kinds of objections, but at least initially, right, this is the right thing to do. You maximize benefit, clear action guidance. So that's one strength. Another strength is that utilitarianism captures the way that we talk about morality. It captures the way we talk about ethics. Here's what I mean. So as I record this, my son Jasper is 3, and he has gotten, thankfully, past almost all of these kind of baby toddler stage type behaviors. But one he has not gotten past is biting. So he still, from time to time, gets what his abuela calls ansias, the desire to bite. So we'll be standing in the kitchen, and I'll be cooking, and he's playing with his trucks by me, and he'll wrap his arms around my leg, give me a big hug, and I'm like, oh, and then he'll just go, ha, and just chomp into my leg, and it hurts so bad, right? Extreme pain. And at this moment, I need to give him some moral instruction, okay? So what do I do? Now, note that there's a number of things I could do, right? I could explain to him in perhaps virtue ethics terms how the ideal virtuous agent would not behave in such a way. Or I could explain in deontological terms how this would violate the categorical imperative. Perhaps I could sit him down and read him a passage from Kant's Groundwork for the Metaphysics of Morals. Child Protective Services would probably take him away in that case, rightfully, right? But I don't do that. What do? I say, Jasper, that was a big ouchie. You really hurt Daddy. Look at the marks on my leg. You really hurt me. That was a big ouchie. I wouldn't bite you like that because it's a big ouchie. Okay, don't do that. In other words, when the chips are down, when I absolutely have to explain why something is not right morally, I point to results. I point to consequences. Look at the mark on my leg. Look at the big ouchie. And we do this not just with children, reach immediately for results, reach immediately for consequences, but we also do this in our own adult relationships when we're acting at our best. Here's what I mean. So if you're in a relationship, say, and somebody hurts you, again, when we're at our best, when we don't kind of get dramatic or blow up or whatever, or shut down entirely, we say, look what you did. You really hurt me when you did that. What you did there violated the trust in our relationship. It's going to be very hard for me to trust you after this, or impossible for me to trust you after this. We're doing the exact same thing that I'm doing with my son there. When we need someone to understand the moral purport of what they did, we point to the results, we point to the consequences. And the utilitarian is going to say this is exactly what I'm talking about. When the chips are down, again, when you have to make somebody, understand ethics or morality, you point to consequences. Shows that we're right. So that's a second strength that captures how we talk about morality. The final strength and then a possible concern I will get to in the next video. Thanks.